Once upon a time, far beyond the whispering forests and the silver streams, there was a city that shimmered with a magic unlike any other. It was called Glimmerfall, and it was a city built by fairies for fairies. But not just any fairies. This was a refuge for the fairies who didn't quite fit in. There were fairies with mismatched wings that fluttered out of sync, fairies whose spells backfired into puffs of glittery smoke, and fairies who could only summon fireflies in the middle of the day. Among them lived a young fairy named Lumine. Her magic was, to put it mildly, a bit of a disappointment. While other fairies could make vibrant flowers bloom or miniature rainbows arch across the sky, all Lumine could do was make tiny, fragile green shoots sprout from the ground, and they would last for only 5 seconds before withering away into brown dust. Because of this, Lumine was responsible for sweeping up the dirt and dust in the city, a job no one else wanted. One day, as Lumine was sweeping near the city's highest crystal spire, a deep shadow began to creep across the ground. It wasn't the kind of shadow cast by a cloud or a tree. It was a cold, hungry shadow that swallowed the light and hummed with a low, menacing energy. The other fairies panicked. Their powerful magic had always protected the city, but their spells did nothing against this new threat. They tried summoning light to push it back, but the light only grew dim. They tried growing thorny vines to trap it, but the shadow simply consumed them. Lumine watched in dismay as her friends' attempts failed. The shadow crept closer, inching toward the heart of the city, and a deep feeling of helplessness washed over her. She knew her useless magic couldn't make a difference, but she had to try something. Closing her eyes, she whispered a wish and focused all her will on the ground at the edge of the shadow. With a deep breath, she extended her hands. Tiny green shoots burst from the ground, right at the border where the light met the dark. Just as before, they were fragile and small, and they began to wilt after only a moment. But something was different. As they withered, a faint, golden light remained where they had grown, an echo of the magic that had just been there. Lumine repeated her magic, over and over, pushing her exhausted little sparks of life into the soil as fast as she could. Each time, the tiny shoots died, but each time they left behind a lingering pinpoint of golden light. Soon, the edge of the shadow was dotted with these specks of gold, like 1,000 fallen stars. The other fairies, noticing what she was doing, began to understand. Lumine's magic wasn't about permanence, it was about the fleeting echo of life. The shadow couldn't swallow her spells because they weren't meant to last. They were a constant, quick burst of life that left behind a stubborn residue of light. Together, the mismatched fairies worked. Fairies with misfiring spells shot bursts of colorful light at the shadow, and as the lights faded, they left behind lingering pockets of color. Fairies with tangled wings flew in dizzying circles, confusing the shadow's path, and leaving behind a trail of shimmering magic dust that the shadow couldn't consume. Lumine kept to her task, growing and withering shoots at the shadow's edge. As she worked, the golden motes of light she left behind started to hum with the collective magic of the other fairies. The hum grew into a song, and the golden specks began to connect, forming a shimmering net of light that pushed the shadow back, inch by inch. Finally, with one last push from all the fairies in the city, the shadow was driven back completely, dissolving into nothingness. The city of Glimmerfall was saved, not by powerful spells or perfect magic, but by the combined imperfect abilities of its mismatched inhabitants. From that day on, no fairy in Glimmerfall ever felt like they didn't belong, for they knew that their quirks were not flaws, but the very things that made their magic special. That make a YT thumbnail about this story without text.